and meowdy YouTube. You guys loved my oversimplified reaction. We did the World War II. I will be doing the bigger ones as well. He also has the Mini Wars series. I don't know if you guys knew that, but we are going to start diving on in. This is going to be the Mini Wars #1, which is the Falklands. It's going to be exciting. So these aren't as long as, you know, the originals, but they're still going to be fun. So let's dive down in, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Alrighty, let's go. Let's
Hi,
learn.
English Mariner John Strong. Hi,
Hi.
Anthony Carey, 5th Viscount of Falkland. I would very much like for you to go to Chile and locate the wreck of a Spanish treasure ship for me. Okay.
Okay. Oh no.
Hey, I found some islands.
Oh. And this is where it all goes downhill. He found some islands. Okay.
The English were probably not the first to discover the Falklands, but they were the first to write it down. They found it to be
should
cold,
write this
wet,
down.
and miserable, just like home. So they established a colony in 1765, unaware that the French had also discovered the islands and done the same a year
shoot. I see what's going on.
earlier.
Okay.
And for a while, the two were unaware of each other's existence until presumably there was an awkward moment where they ran into each other.
But, like, realistically, if they were still here at the same time, they're on half the island. One's on one half, one's on, like, the east, one's on the west. There didn't have to be a mini war. They could just share. Well, never mind. That's a lie. I'm so sorry. They can't share. They don't know how to share. I don't know. That's so stupid of me.
Then the Spanish showed up
Oopsies.
and told the French that a couple hundred years earlier, the Pope drew a line on a map and said all of this belongs
Ain't
to
no
Portugal and all of
way.
this belongs to Spain, and that the island was in Spain's territory and they would like the French to hand over their settlement. Now,
Yeah, that's not how that works, Mr. Spain. That's not how that works.
since the two were good friends and Spain was willing to pay in cash money, the French obliged. But since they were
France
still a
got
little bitter about
paid?
the recent 7 Years' War thing, they made sure to warn
my
the Spanish not to
gosh.
let those dirty English on the other side of the island take over. So Spain went
Be like, you must do everything to stop them.
over to the English and
Okay.
explained, Pope, line on map, Spain's island. And the English said, yeah, right, this is our island. But the Spanish had more
Yeah.
guns, so they kicked them off anyway. But then England threatened to
You kick England off. You kick England off. Bro, England does not like that you probably told them that the Pope told you so. I love how Oversimplified teaches history in, like, these fun ways.
go to war. So Spain went to their friends in France and said, hey,
Oh,
it looks like stuff is
no.
about to go
Oh,
down. You in on
no.
this? And the French Minister of War said, yeah, and we'll launch a full-scale invasion of England and party like it's 1066. But then King
What?
Louis XV said, 1, you're insane, and 2, you're fired.
Yes?
Sorry, Spain, we're
Okay.
not ready for a war right now. So Spain had to give the English their settlement back, saying it's still our island, and the English said, no, it's our island. Then some colonists in North America got a bit
Oh,
rowdy, so the English had to
no.
leave their settlement to go focus on that. But they left behind a plaque that said this is totally still our island. So the island was in Spanish hands, but then a French guy,
Oh, no.
not that one, turned on the Spanish, took over most of the country, and
Yeah.
captured King Ferdinand VII. And in response, the
Oopsies! That indeed, there was a lot happening. There was a lot happening.
Spanish colonies in South America started vying for independence. So Spain had a little bit on its hands and also had to leave the islands.
Yeah.
And for a couple decades, the islands were left uninhabited except for the penguins, some fishermen, and the gauchos, which are basically like
I mean, that's why we should have left the islands, TBH. But go on.
cowboys, but cooler and Spanisher. A merchant from Hamburg living in the now independent United Provinces of the Rio de la Plata heard about the feral cattle roaming the Falklands and thought it would be a good way to make some money.
Oh
So he got
my
permission from both
God.
Buenos Aires and the British government to set up trade there as a private venture. Some American ships came down and began hunting whales and seals around the islands, and Verney wasn't too happy about it. So he asked Buenos Aires for some military assistance in
Help.
defending the islands, but Buenos Aires said, meh, do it yourself, gave him some weapons, and appointed him governor of the islands.
Meh, do it yourself. Good luck, have fun.
So he seized the US ships and arrested their crews. In response, two
That's-
things happened. First, America came down and said, nice settlement you have there.
I'm like, doing that to America is not going to go over well for you.
Would be a shame if someone destroyed it.
Yeah.
And then they destroyed it.
Yeah.
Second, Britain heard Verney had been appointed governor, meaning the United Provinces, actually now the Argentine Confederation, were officially claiming the islands as theirs. So Britain showed up and said, hey,
Oh my
didn't you see our
gosh.
plaque? And since they had more guns, they kicked them off the island. And the Falklands remained firmly in British hands for the next century. They officially became a crown colony in 1840. Port Stanley became
Oh?
the island's capital in 1845. The cattle hides from the island weren't worth much, so they imported sheep from Britain in 1851. 2 world wars came and went, and all this time the Argentinians never rescinded their claim over the islands. Now it's 1976, and after a couple
Hold on, 1976. From the 1800s? We still are in control of it?
civil wars, a new brutal military dictatorship sponsored by the US fight against communism has taken control in
Thanks,
Argentina.
America.
And by 1981, this guy was in power. The economy had been struggling for a long time, and Galtieri
see.
had been unable to improve the situation. Now, if you ever find yourself the brutal military leader of a struggling South American country and you start getting into hot water, here's a bit of advice that has been tried and tested throughout the centuries. Start a war to distract everyone.
Top tips. No, I don't think so. I know that this, oh my god,
From their misery. Galtieri knew how popular he would be if he could finally take back Argentina's last Malvinas from the occupying British. There had been proposals to cut British military spending, and the ice patrol vessel HMS Endurance had been withdrawn from the area, so the Argentinians assumed the British may not even bother doing anything about the invasion. After easily capturing the largely uninhabited South Georgia island, 600
Why would you think that they wouldn't just do anything? Like,
Argentine troops were sent to the Falklands. The small number of
You know
Royal
what?
Marine
I think this is why I was always a science kid and not a history kid, because I have too many questions for history. I have too many, like, who, what, where, when, why, when I watch history, when I learn about history. Where science, it's just normally the facts, man. You can have some hypotheses of, like, well, let's do this, we'll do this, do that, but then, you know, at the end, you're getting a result. This, it's just, like, more of a gamble, I guess.
and other British forces stationed there put up a small amount of resistance, but in the end had to surrender to the larger Argentine force. Crowds in Argentina celebrated the news, but they were wrong to assume the British would do nothing, because the person in charge of the United Kingdom at the time was this lady. Thatcher was a somewhat controversial prime minister, but whether you loved her or hated her, there was no denying that she was tough. Like metal. Iron, for example. She immediately declared an exclusion.
I just don't know, like, you would mess with you're messing with a UK island expecting the UK not to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why that theory is a thing.
Zone around the islands and organized for a task force of over 100 ships to set sail for the Falklands. The United
100.
Nations expressed concern at the Argentine invasion. All South American nations apart from Chile backed Argentina. And since the United States had propped up the Argentine dictatorship, Reagan went to Thatcher and said, "Could you maybe just let them have the islands?" And Thatcher said no. Okay, here, have some weapons. Fighting a war over 8,000 miles from home was a logistical challenge for the British. They requisitioned civilian cruise ships and containers, and they used British-owned Ascension Island as a forward base. By the time they arrived at the Falklands in May, the Argentine forces had had time to entrench themselves. The first task for the British was to gain control of the seas, which they did easily. On the 2nd of May, a British submarine sank an Argentine cruiser. The sinking was controversial, as it occurred outside the British exclusion zone. It was also the largest loss of life in a single incident during the war. And in response, the Argentine Navy withdrew from the islands. The next task for the British was to gain air superiority. While the Argentine Air Force controlled the skies, they were able to inflict considerable damage on the Royal Navy below. Days after the sinking of the General Belgrano, 2 Argentine Super Étendards carried out a raid on the HMS Sheffield and sank it with an Exocet missile. For weeks, the Argentine Air Force would continue to carry out raids and inflict heavy casualties on the Royal Navy, with British sea...
You know what? And, like, this is only a mini war. Like, this is not really... It's talking about, but not super talking about. Right?
Carriers doing their best to take out as
I'm saying talking. I meant to say talked about. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired. Ignore me. If I make anything, so I speak improperly, ignore me. I'm so tired, but I'm so intrigued.
Many of the Argentine aircraft as they could. While the battle in the skies raged on, San Carlos was chosen as the best landing site for the British ground forces. An SAS raid took out Argentine defenses on Pebble Island, and the HMS Alacrity sailed through Falkland Sound to flush out any Argentine supply ships. The landings began on May 21st, with Argentine aircraft carrying out full-scale raids on the task force ships taking part in the landing, damaging several and sinking a few. But anti-aircraft cannons and sea harriers shot down many of the aircraft in what became a major turning point for air superiority, and a beachhead was successfully formed. Then the ground troops began their movements out of San Carlos, across the north towards Stanley, and south toward the Argentine stronghold at Goose Green. In the following battles, a clear trend...
I feel like as soon as Argentina lost all Air Force here, all power of the air, they just fell. This island fell.
Emerged. The Argentine conscripts put up a good fight, and with the rough, muddy terrain, the war was by no means easy for the British. But with highly skilled Royal Marine commanders and parachute regiment troops, the British would often find themselves taking on larger numbers of Argentinian soldiers, but would still come out victorious with minimal casualties. The 14-hour-long battle for Goose Green commenced on the night of May 28th. The battle ended in a decisive British victory, with over 900 Argentinians surrendering. Then, with 5,000 reinforcements arriving from the 5th Infantry Brigade, the British started preparing for their final assault on Stanley. In a series of hard-fought battles, they took control of the hills and mountains surrounding the town, as the Argentine forces withdrew, with British ships shelling their positions from offshore. Utterly surrounded, on the 14th of June, the Argentinians surrendered, and the war was over. The 2-month-long war claimed hundreds...
Wait, 2-month-long war? That all took place in 2 months? Wow.
Hundreds of lives, and left the island strewn with minefields.
You know what? At the end of the day, war is always sad to see the fatality numbers, but
but
Holy.
still pose a problem to this day. Argentina still
still a
claims the
problem?
islands, but in 2013 a referendum was held, and the islanders voted 99.8% in favor of remaining British. Plus, oil was
Imagine imagine Argentina still claiming these islands and they hold a referendum and only 3 people vote in the referendum for Argentina?
just found near the islands, so the British
Damn.
probably aren't going to give them up anytime soon.
No. Why would you give them up? A, you won the war. B, your people don't even want them. I don't know, man. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Thank you for doing this mini war. What the heck? And thank you, YouTube, for watching over here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please let me know your favorite part of the video down below. If you have a favorite part, let me know. If you want me to react to more Oversimplified, let me know. If you like this mini war series, I will continue doing them. I will do the big wars as well. Don't you worry. They're just like triple the amount of time to do a big war video, but we will be doing them. So let me know what you want me to see, react to next by Oversimplified, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Be safe. Enjoy. And goodbye. Oh, and come check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel. It's a wonderful way to support the channel. It will be linked down below in the description. And goodbye.